The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
The electricity market operator declares that Georgia consumed more than 200 million kilowatt-hour of electricity in November, up by 14.9% compared to the same period of the previous year. The country consumed more than 12 billion and 400 million kilowatt-hour of electricity in 11 months of 2021, which is 30.4% more compared to the same period of 2020. Electricity generation has also increased in Georgia this year. Namely, this generation of local hydropower plants reached 1 billion and 186 million kilowatt-hour in November, which is 37% more than the same period of last year.
Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili, currently visiting Brussels, met with Maroš Šefčovič, Vice President of the European Commission. The meeting at the European Commission focused on the outcomes of the recent Eastern Partnership Summit and Georgia's progress towards European integration. The Prime Minister reaffirmed the irreversibility of Georgia's European choice and aspirations, as evidenced by the Georgian government's intentions to file an official application for full EU membership in 2024. During the meeting, the head of the Georgian government and the European Commission's Vice President discussed some of the key issues on the agenda of Georgia-EU relations, the process of implementation of the association agreement and the DCFTA, also ongoing reforms and new directions for further cooperation, including energy security and Georgia's potential for generating renewable energy.
TAV Urban Georgia managing company of Tbilisi and Batumi International Airports leads the list of top investors in Georgia in third quarter of 2021, reports National Statistics Office of Georgia. Despite the pandemic, the company didn't stop investing, and this year 9 million was invested in Tbilisi International Airport in Torol, which is back to the pre-pandemic levels by 38.04% in 9 months of 2021.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan held a video conference with Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk. According to a statement by the presidency, during the conference, matters regarding cooperation between the public and private sector institutions in Turkey and the company in various fields, particularly satellite and space technologies, were addressed, the statement reads. The conference also covered autonomous electric vehicles and the digital economy, as well as assessment of steps to deepen the long-term investments and existing cooperation.
This is the Checkpoints presented by Elena Kvanchulashvili and myself. I'm David Jalagoni, and we're ready to tell you more about business and economics.
Yes, 10 p.m. sharp, and day by day we're getting closer to the Christmas mood. At least that's what's supposed to happen if we look at grand lightning in the streets of Tbilisi and not only here. But businesses waiting for the winter season do not seem to be hearing carols yet. The big question looming in the air is still whether or not Georgia's ski resorts should await another COVID-19 winter wipeout this season. The temperature at Georgian winter resorts began dropping below freezing and the first snow came in the country. However, the winter resorts are not officially opened yet. Would this year's ski season in Georgia be a repeat of 2020 when ski lifts were shuttered and tourists were not admitted? Natia Taktakishvili will tell you more.
The temperature at Georgian winter resorts began dropping below freezing and the first snow came in the country. However, the winter resorts are not officially opened yet. Supposedly, ski season will begin from December 16. Would this year's ski season in Georgia be a repeat of 2020, when ski lifts were shuttered, tourists were not admitted, and hotels and the restaurants struggled to keep afloat? Or would a vaccine rollout finally allow Georgian resorts to return to normal? It's a question of vital importance for the representatives of the local businesses whose economy is entirely dependent on mountain tourism. Winter is the high season for mountain resorts. Hotels, restaurants and local businesses survive on the stream of tourists that usually starts arriving in December. Expectations of local businesses are more or less optimistic for this year. Vato Asatashvili, the founder of Heliski, Georgia, declares based on the previous experience that the sector has no guarantees and it can close again due to the senseless acts of the government. He notes that the sector does not know when the season will begin, how long the winter resorts will be open or how the regulations will work.
Unfortunately, I must say that we are following the flow. We cannot plan any proactive actions. If we see that we don't have any major problems in terms of management by mid-January and there are no strict regulations due to the pandemic, we can say that the resorts can operate with a small load. Otherwise, this season will fail like the previous one. As for the bookings, we received orders from spring, but this year we have stopped all sales and our websites are turned off. Selling something today is madness because the season can fail due to the senseless act of the government.
Asatashvili expects that this year will be difficult regarding the international visitors, as the main partner companies have a tough situation due to the pandemic. Lockdowns are announced in Austria and Germany. However, founder Heliski, Georgia still considers that foreign tourists will reach 20 to 25% of pre-pandemic levels. Also, he notes that prices on winter resorts will be up by 20%.
Prices will be quite high in a peak period, but after the new year, a decrease is inevitable. Artificially grown prices have their own reasons. Business players don't have guarantees that they will operate during the whole season, so they want to get maximum revenue in a short period of time and offset the expenditures. This is not their whim. This is a process of survival. Prices will be high, but after the first peak period, from January 8th, they will go down and offers will exceed the demand.
Vato Asatashvili is not alone with his worries. Maya Sidamonidze, managing partner of Pro Travel, declares that last year's ski season has been a disaster down the line. According to Maya Sidamonidze, before the pandemic, they knew the booking statistics 3 months earlier, but now it's impossible to make a forecast because rooms are booked only 2-3 days in advance. She notes that it's difficult to talk about ski season in such an unpredictable condition.
The state has not created any expectations whether the resorts will be open or not. The winter season has actually come while the private sector is not informed how they will continue operating. But it is important to provide timely information to the tourists, but we don't have the answers yet.
Company in group is more optimistic. They say that if bookings are continued, they will be back to pre-pandemic levels during this season. Eric Kokaya, CEO of In Group, declares that the hotels in Bakuriani and Gudauri are fully booked for the new year. In the case of Bakuriani, demand comes from local tourists, while in Gudauri it comes from Baltic states and Asia countries.
We have tried our best not to offer increased prices to the customers, despite the fact that our expenditures are significantly grown. I hope that we will get back to the pre-pandemic levels. Gudauri is fully loaded from January 1st to January 5th, and there are very few places left in Bakuriani. Even if we look at it on a monthly basis, it looks quite a positive because the whole January is loaded by almost 60%. We should keep in mind that additional bookings will be made in January, which means that the load will increase to 80% to 90%.
The hotel city in Mestia does not have clear expectations for the winter season. As the representative of the hotel told BMG, they have not increased the prices, but there is no demand either from local or international tourists even for the new year. Late in October, government of Georgia released regulations for the coming winter season, with rules for passenger capacity in ski lift gondolas and open lifts set for pandemic safety. According to the current regulations, 8 passengers are admitted in 10-seat gondolas operating on ski lifts to carry people up the slopes, while the open seat type lifts will be allowed to be used in full capacity. Tourists must present a green pass at mountain resorts in order to use the ski lift gondolas or hotels.
Well, here's one more interesting story about the Georgian tourism sector. What is the main challenge for ski resorts and how the pandemic influenced the environment? You can catch up all the answers in a report by Guillaume Moulart.
We already discussed previously about the most impacted sectors of the COVID-19. The tourism industry is for sure the one who has been struggling the most for the last 2 years. In Georgia, 2019 was the year of all the records with more than 9 million of tourists, which is 3 times more than the current population of Georgia. Which consequences had this crisis for the tourism sector in Georgia? And what are the possible outcomes? We're going to try to answer this difficult question with Maya Sidamonidze, the former director of the GNTA, the Georgian National Tourism Administration.
Since 2009, tourism industry in Georgia has become one of the fastest developing industries contributing to the national economy. One of the major preconditions were the open sky policy and visa facilitation process, which has largely contributed to the opening the borders for international tourism in Georgia. The government of Georgia has prioritized developing tourism, which lately has become one of the largest employers too in the country. And in 2019, during pre-COVID situation, the number of international travelers were over 9 million, which is 3 times more than overall population of the country. I think that during recent years, Georgia has become one of the new emerging destinations. People are tired of the same traditional destinations. Therefore, Georgia has become a very interesting destination for international travelers because people here come to experience new so-called travel experiences. I think Georgia is diverse with its tourism products. We have unique culture, history, which contributes to creating very unique tourism products and interest for the travelers who experience the destination. And I think Georgian hospitality and Georgian people is one of the authentic experiences that people like when they visit the country and they travel within the country. Well, according to statistics, over 70% of international travelers are from the neighbor countries, and then from CIS countries, the former CIS countries, the Gulf region. From Europe is one of the growing contributing source markets, and also the Asian markets. But from Europe, I would say that Germany and UK are the major producers in terms of international tourism, but again, when we talk about international tourism, Georgia still has the challenge to diversify its target markets and attract and generate more tourism for the various diverse markets. Tourism is fairly new industry in Georgia. I would say that it's last 10 years or 15 years that it has started developing. Therefore, definitely we're facing a lot of challenges. The quality of service, the qualification and the experience of the human capital that are the main drivers of the service quality in the country at the moment and service providers, and the infrastructure. The country has invested a lot in infrastructure lately, building new airports, generating new investments to build new hotels and tourism infrastructure, but also investing a lot in marketing, in proactive marketing activities to target more countries, therefore generating more income and investing more in infrastructure. At the moment, I would say, and lately during pre-COVID situation, the major challenge was to prioritize quality over quantity. We were generating more than 9 million international travelers in the country, but tourism was one of the first industries that were hit badly by COVID. And I think it's not only for emerging countries, but worldwide. The case in terms of emerging countries, and the problem is that the capital and the resources are scarce. And the business was hit very badly and affected very badly because the government, to be honest, didn't have a lot of financial resources to to spread the financial support for the business. Therefore, a lot of hotels and a lot of business premises were closed during the COVID and were not able to reopen, unfortunately, because at the moment the industry is recovering in Georgia, but it's still not the same figures as we had in 2019 and during pre-COVID situation. Probably we will face a lot of challenges ahead because we will need to work out the post-COVID strategy to recover the industry fully, to help the business and to help the international tourism flow renew the figures that we had before. The recovery process hugely depends on the pandemic situation. Therefore, I think it depends how the government handles the pandemic situation, which is not really positive at the moment because of the vaccination process and because of some of the restrictions that were introduced by the government before. I think that the pandemic situation will lead the recovery process. If we're still in the red area and in the threat area, of course, a lot of countries won't let their travelers to visit Georgia. Therefore, I think that one of the first steps that the Georgian government has to take is to stabilize the pandemic situation here, which is a challenge not only for Georgia but for other countries too worldwide. Secondly, probably Georgia has to think out of the box because a lot of things will change. The travel behavior will change, probably the demand will change, the interests and the behavior of the tourists will change. Therefore, probably one of the things that Georgia has to do is to rethink the target markets, rethink the tourism products, how we're going to target, which markets are we going to target, what kind of tourism products we need to offer to them, and also allocate certain financial resources, which is a challenge for the countries like Georgia because we still have emerging economies. One of the initiatives I think that government should initiate is the post-COVID tourism recovery strategy, which hasn't been done yet. And even if it's in the process of preparing, I think it's a bit late because we should be now already implementing the strategy, and not only government, but it should be public-private dialogue. It should be between public and private sector together, because at the end of the day, the business and the private sectors are the final service providers, and definitely there should be more communication and more coordination, and there should be a concrete strategy that is serving post-COVID recovery here in Georgia. I think the pandemic has changed people's perspective of travel, and their interests have shifted. Therefore, travelers are more interested in nature, in authentic experiences. I think Georgia has some diverse offerings because it's a small country and small territory. We have mountains, we have sea, we have a unique cultural identity, we have very interesting and rich history, we have very delicious cuisine, wine, and I think all this in combination creates a unique experience for travelers.
As you see, it will be a long way to fully recover from this unprecedented crisis. Even though Georgia has a lot to offer, first of all, pandemic should be totally stabilized, and public and private sectors should work hand in hand, but tourism professionals have still hopes of improvement from spring 2022.
Actually, David, it seems that all the IFIs and development partners of Georgia are trying to better coordinate to guide Georgia's SME sector. And since this community is using the European definition of the sector, there are almost all types of businesses, including medium and quite large corporations as well. EBRD has updated its country strategy for Georgia, focusing on three main priorities. Looking at the document, one can see that quite thorough and extensive work has been done to identify what needs needs to be changed, whether or not it can be changed, and what role will the EBRD and other donors and development partners have in reaching the new targets as identified in the new country strategy for Georgia for 2022 to 2027. More from our interview with Katarina Henson, EBRD Regional Director for the Caucasus. We will be talking today about the new strategic directions that EBRD will have towards Georgia in coming years. Looking at these key strategic directions, what is new and how does the new strategy build on the previous one, if it does?
First, it builds very much on the previous strategy. Everything that we did during the last strategy period, which was 5 years, has been fed into the development of the new strategy. We have also gone through a very extensive discussion period with private sector stakeholders, the government, the civil society, research institutions and so forth, to try to identify the main gaps where EBRD can play a role to support the Georgian economy. Based on this, we have formulated a new strategy. And it comes with 3 main themes. One is built around competitive and resilient features of the economy. The second one is built around inclusive and integrated features of the economy. And the third one is around green and well-governed.
So now let us dig deeper into these strategic objectives. 3 main questions that we might have here. What needs to be changed? Can it be changed? And so what is the role of the EBRD in all of this?
First, if we look at the competitive and resilient angles, the private sector needs to enhance its competitiveness compared to its neighbors, compared to the world economy, to be more prominent in the world economy, really. Here, the companies need to become more resilient to economic shocks. They need to be more competitive, both internally, regionally, and globally. It may be, of course, be a bit challenging for a small Georgian company in a remote area to access world markets, but with this last couple of years, when the digitalization and online working has become so much more prominent, the chances have enhanced quite substantially, and it's important to build on this experience and this work that everyone has been doing during these last 2 years, and make sure that the companies continue to have access to finance, access to skills, access to people they can employ with the right skills for sustainable business development. If we look at inclusive and integrated aspects, Georgia is a very open economy. Usually it's very good, but it's also very susceptible to external shocks because of the integration. With this, it's important to strengthen the local business community through business-related reforms, continued reforms to enhance the investment climate. It's also very important not just to focus on the big cities, but to make sure that we focus on all the cities and all the areas of Georgia, so young people don't feel that they need to migrate to the big cities to find a job, that they can really find jobs where they want to live throughout the country. With this also comes sustainable infrastructure, because if a city is to be livable, it both needs reliable energy, it needs reliable bus transit so you can get to work properly, and all the other municipal services that a city may need or a town may need. When it comes to green and well-governed, we work very intensively on diversifying energy supply in Georgia. As you well know, we've been very active in the hydropower sector before. We now also would like to promote diversification to solar and wind. I think it's quite important because they have their seasonalities, these renewable energies. It's also very important that the SOE reform continues. It has started, but it needs to continue. And here we approach what we call well-governed. SOEs need to be functioning on commercial basis. They may not necessarily need to be privatized, but they need to have a proper commercial standing. They need to generate revenue. So the central budget doesn't need to support them too much with subsidies. I've read this strategy, and there are many more reforms that you are referring to. You mentioned energy sector in the document. You also mentioned judiciary reform. In these 2 directions specifically, there is quite a difficult situation, so to say. In the energy sector, for example, we have Namahwani case. In the judiciary reform, we have the
EU second tranche that the government refused, that it didn't take because of the conditionality that was linked to the judiciary reform.
Big projects means big problems and big issues. So any big projects actually benefits from the involvement of one or several international financing institutions, because we have all the procedures to assess environmental issues, to assess livelihood issues and so forth. So very often there is actually a benefit of involving us and our fellow IFIs in these kind of projects. We fully understand the fully understand the complexities, but I just don't want to comment on them since we weren't involved and I don't have the details.
I'm not asking you to comment on either cases specifically. I'm bringing it as a context. So I noticed that in this strategy there is this stress of coordinated work of all the IFIs that will be more or less involved in this project.
Coordination between the IFIs is indeed very important, and I think in Georgia we have always coordinated very well, but maybe exceptionally so over last year because the needs were so acute last year. So we established a much closer coordination and even friendship between all the IFIs, and now we are much more aware of what we do, all of us do, so we can cross-refer and make sure that the best IFI for a task at hand takes care of this task. So it's indeed very important. I have to talk a bit more about the about the general business climate. Last year was maybe a lost year in terms of business climate development in the entire world. I'm not talking about Georgia here, but because everyone was so focused on just getting over the COVID crisis. And just look at our own business delivery. We did twice as much last year as we do in any normal year. This year I hope the volumes would be more back to normal, because it means that the crisis support is not really needed. And but it also meant that while everyone was so focused on getting their business to survive the year and just to apply any measures they could, the more general reforms of the business climate was maybe put a bit on the back burner because people just didn't have time to do it. It possibly also includes all the IFIs. We just didn't have time because we were in crisis mode, and that was everywhere in the entire world. So, but now hopefully it looks a bit more optimistic. Our business volume this year is back to normal, which I see as a very, very good indication of the optimism in the market. We don't need to provide or have not provided any crisis support this year, which is a very, very good signal going forward for the economy. So now there is capacity in the market to actually re-engage and make sure that whatever we lost in time of business promotion and business climate improvements last year, we can hopefully catch up over the year to come.
To look at the overall economy and overall situation in the economy with the tightened, record-breaking tightened monetary policy with the record inflation, what are some of the expectations, like looking forward? Do you see more certainty? Because if we look at the pace of vaccination, it's not what the government expected it could be.
The pace of vaccination is actually a bit concerning, and it's probably the most difficult thing to tackle in the Georgian economy right now. Just also because Georgia is so dependent on incoming tourism. So I really hope the vaccinations will pick up over the winter so we can have a good tourism season next year. It would really support Georgia's recovery and future build the economy. On the what can be done? Local currency loans is probably the best way for local companies to ensure that they will survive, because we don't know where the exchange rate is going to go. Georgia, as I said, is a very open economy and is highly dependent on what happens in the neighboring countries and in the world, and it's impossible to control. Companies now seeking hard currency loans is a bit risky because we just don't know where the exchange rate will go, especially if they have their revenues in lari. So we are very much engaged in in local currency financing for SMEs and for corporates in general, both through bonds, through development of capital market tools, and just general normal local currency loans. So we think this is key importance. With regards to the recovery, I sincerely hope that tourism will bounce back. I think that after a long period of sitting at home, a lot of people, including myself, would really like to go traveling. Exactly. And it was very encouraging to see the large number of tourists we had in Georgia last summer. I hope the upcoming winter season will be equally good. And I hope the next summer will see more normal features of tourism. We would be very keen to continue to support Georgia's hospitality sector with enhanced skills, also through in the regions, because the regions have yet to develop further in terms of hospitality. So I sincerely hope that we will have a good health situation in the country coming soon.
New strategies, where do you see strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats coming?
Okay, the strength is the very vibrant SME community, and SMEs here, we use the EU definition of SME, so they can really be quite big Georgian corporates. We see a strong entrepreneurial spirit. We see strong strive towards EU compliance under the DCFTA and association agreement. This is very important because it's a very close and a very big potential export market. We also see very good initiatives from many companies to access markets in maybe a bit unusual places. So and not everyone is focused on the EU, but that is also very good because people look around the globe and see where can we actually access a market. We see some weaknesses in the composition of the workforce, especially newly graduates. I know there is work ongoing both at government level and with fellow IFIs and donors to support skill enhancement, really. More engineers, more dairy technicians, agriculture, more technical skills that companies will need to be able to meet the standards of the future. We need to make sure that whoever the universities now educate, that these people have the educations that will be required in the future. IT, for example, this is a very prominent area which is only growing. So the more Georgia can do in this area, the better it will be. It's of course absolutely great that Georgia has a lot of people studying law and studying international relationships, but we also need the engineers, we need the IT staff, we need medical professionals and so forth. So there needs to be equal attraction to all these fields of education. This is one of the weaknesses, or a challenge maybe, not a weakness, but a challenge to build upon. The threats, well, the threat is really where the world is today. We don't know where this epidemic will go. I sincerely hope it's that science and vaccines will actually be able to handle this the health threat very soon, but it's impossible to say. It's really, you would need a crystal ball to say something clever here, and I don't think I could do that. And then what else? The strength, the opportunities. Yes, the opportunities is just the fact that Georgia is such a welcoming country. It's open for everybody. Nobody needs a visa. Everyone can come and open business. I see the most interesting companies relocating to Georgia right now. We may not finance all of them, but we speak to many of them because very often they don't need finance. We see companies from Belarus, we see companies from Lebanon and other interesting places relocating to Georgia just because of the openness of the Georgian society, the promising business climate, and just the general welcoming atmosphere in the country. So this is really something that Georgia can and should build upon, and I think many companies in the future will also appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
One more strategy that Georgia might have in the nearest future seems to be the strategy for Georgia's transformation as a regional financial hub. The Georgian government reports that Rothschild & Co. will be working on a strategy for Georgia. The agreement between the company and the government of Georgia has been signed in Brussels. During the meeting with the Prime Minister of Georgia, Managing Director of the Rothschild & Co. stated that the company will elaborate a strategy strategy for turning Georgia into a regional financial hub, and also will work in the direction of drawing more financial resources and grants into the country.
Well, Rothschild & Co. is the world's one of the largest independent financial services groups operating in more than 40 countries globally, so their expertise is of course unquestionable in this direction. Here are more details on this news in a short video that the government of Georgia has released online.
It's a big honor to have the Prime Minister of Georgia coming to our offices here in Brussels after the Eastern Partnership with the European Union. And we have just engaged with the Prime Minister's office to advise the government of Georgia on a number of matters linked to foreign direct investment, linked to having a hub into a financial hub for Georgia, which we think is interesting work to be able to move it ahead, and also to engage further into some financing sources for Georgia.
We're very honored and pleased to be involved in advising Georgia with regard to some important strategic matters. Georgia has a very long-standing tradition as a country and is considering how to position itself in today's world with regard to becoming a wealth management center. And again, we're very excited and honored to be involved as an advisor in this process.
Regional financial hub without highly developed IT services is particularly nonsense these days. You would agree, Elena. And I think it's also good news that we have such a company called Swift Digital. This Georgian company involved in the IT sector is well known not only locally but internationally as well. European markets are well aware of its expertise and professionalism since for many years the company's team offers companies of all sizes technological solutions. Who are the partners of Swift Digital both on local and global markets? You will find out right now.
Software development company Swift Digital started writing its story as far back as 4 years ago. Swift Digital offers application development and web development services to companies operating in various sectors of the global market. Swift Digital, now an international company, is well known in the European market. The company's Italian office, together with the Tbilisi office, is a partner to several European companies, including almost all sectors from banking to e-commerce.
Italy, as in the rest of the world, is currently experiencing a strong growth of the IT market. The internal supply of the IT resources is not enough to satisfy the demand. For these reasons, there is a big opportunity that could be solved only with foreign suppliers. With Swift Digital, we can provide almost any different type of resources able to work closely with the IT team of large and small companies. So we recently worked on the development of a mobile app for an important Italian e-commerce company.
Among the clients, you will meet a number of large European companies, to which the Swift Digital team offers professional developers, designers, and analysts in addition to automation programs. Swift Digital becomes a certain part of the company. Swift Digital team has created a digital wallet for the Italian digital bank BKN 301.
Basically, we have a team for BKN 301 inside of Swift Digital, and we work with them directly to design payment solution and to provide information technology solution for the payment industry and for the fintech industry in the emerging market. They have a strong know-how in the fintech business.
Swift Digital also supplies its resources to the local market. Among the Georgian partners is the well-known online trading platform XtraG. XtraG's mobile application was created by the Swift Digital team. As the company's founder tells us, Swift Digital is the strategic partner because they meet all the requirements of a software development company. We evaluate companies on 3 principles. These include reliability, flexibility, and highly qualified staff. All 3 of these requirements were met by Swift Digital. Before we started working with them, Swift Digital has already worked with leading European companies, banks, and e-commerce platforms. The factor of trust was extremely important, which is why we started a partnership with Swift Digital, which we hope will last a long time. Not only European banks, but also companies working in the Georgian financial sector cooperate with Swift Digital. They include Bank of Georgia, Liberty Bank, Terra Bank, Finca Bank, and Basis Bank. Representatives of the banking industry are actively talking about the lack of professional IT developers in the field. Swift Digital helps them to solve this problem. Swift Digital is a Georgian company and knows Georgian specifics better than foreign companies. The size of the company was also an important factor which led to certain guarantees. Consequently, based on all of this, we started collaborating with the company. A new mobile application is being created for our holding, Basis Bank, for insurance and leasing. This will be a common unified platform which will be built by Swift Digital together with our team. The company Swift Digital came into the media spotlight in September this year when a Georgian software development company was acquired by a Spanish international company making science. The deal will invest several million euros in the local market and employ up to 1,200 Georgian developers, which will help Swift Digital further expand its area of business and the IT developers employed here for professional development.
Let us then proceed with an overlapping strategic decision by Team Europe for Georgia, David. The European Investment Bank, the Bank of the European Union, will invest up to 34 million euro in expanding a high-speed internet network, bringing fast and reliable internet services to some 500,000 Georgians living in 1,000 rural and remote settlements in Georgia. The investment from the EU bank will finance the installation of 5,000 kilometers of fiber optics telecommunications network and provide open access infrastructure for Georgian telecom operators to provide their fast internet services. The EU has provided a guarantee through the external lending mandate. This project supports improved digital connectivity as one of the 5 flagship initiatives for Georgia under the European Union's Economic and Investment Plan for the Eastern Partnership. This new EIB operation is a part of broader Team Europe efforts to support Georgia in digitalizing, accelerating green and sustainable social and economic growth, and increasing nationwide resilience to natural disasters such as the COVID-19 pandemic.
Investing in a digital transition in Georgia is key to stimulate jobs and growth and bring about prosperity, said Karl Hartzell, ambassador of the European Union to Georgia. According to him, through the economic and investment plan, the European Union has already started to deliver real benefits on the ground. This program will assist in bringing new opportunities and reduce digital inequalities between rural and urban areas by developing high-speed broadband infrastructure for around 1,000 rural settlements, declares Ambassador of the European Union of Georgia.
Teresa Chervinska, Vice President of the EIB, who is in charge of operations in Georgia, said our investment in fast and reliable internet services for rural Georgia is more than another Team Europe investment to improve quality of life and doing business for Georgians. It supports digitalization, the key to the long-term competitiveness of the Georgian economy and its sustainable and green development. Finally, this investment reinforces the recovery of the national economy from the pandemic. Together with Team Europe, EU4 Digital, the World Bank, and the government of Georgia, we are building modern infrastructure, a cornerstone for a modern and thriving Georgia. The EIB is proud to have contributed yet again towards this goal. The whole of Team Europe shares with Georgia.
According to Lasha Kutsishvili, Minister of Finance of Georgia, one of the main priorities of the government is the development of the digital economy. He explains that the improvement of broadband infrastructure is of the utmost importance in this regard. With the support of our international partner institutions such as the European Union, the European Investment Bank and the World Bank, we are aiming for this goal as one of the flagship projects within the Eastern Partnership priorities. It will promote digital development of rural settlements. In addition, it's in full compliance with Georgia's national broadband strategy and government program for the next 3 years, said the Ministry of Finance.
The EIB loan will provide the digital backbone infrastructure required under Georgia's OpenNet program and promote the extend affordable broadband internet to individuals and enterprises in rural areas of Georgia. The OpenNet program envisages the development of modern broadband infrastructure to reduce the digital divide in the country, improve living conditions, and create new opportunities for businesses. The OpenNet program is the main component of the Login Georgia project, which promotes affordable broadband internet and extends its availability to individuals and enterprises in the country. Login Georgia project and OpenNet program as its main components fully support the implementation of the National Broadband Development Strategy 2020-2025, prepared with the support from the European Union and the World Bank.
Elena, not only development partners of IFIs or direct donors have their support to Georgia and their view of strategic cooperation, embassies are on the list as well. Our rubric, the ambassadorial, has featured some of them over time. Today we will be focusing the attention of our viewers and followers on a Czech embassy to Georgia.
You're absolutely right, David. 3 million euros. This is an annual budget of development cooperation of the Czech embassy to Georgia. This amount of money is distributed to several programs that aim to support Georgia in different fields. Priority sectors for the development cooperation are inclusive social development, agriculture and rural development, and good democratic governance.
The checkpoints interviewed head of the development cooperation, Mrs. Yana Zelengorova, who speaks about the plans of the next years.
Czech development program focuses on somehow sharing experience of approaching to the European Union, like the Czech experience. So what kind of challenges you see and how would you assess like the general process of approximation of Georgia to the European Union?
Yes, indeed. Czech development program focuses on transfer of the Czech knowledge and experiences with the EU approximation. Well, I think this is one of the added values of the Czech development cooperation, because it's still in our fresh memory, this EU approximation process, and then we can share with you openly the challenges we faced back in 2004 when we entered the EU. And we are happy to share with you not only the success stories and how smooth it was, because it's never smooth, it takes time and it sometimes look even unreachable, but we are happy to share with you the lessons to be avoided by Georgia.
I would like to ask about supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. So, in your observation, so what kind of need they need, what kind of help they need, in your opinion, and where they need your support?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question again, because I think that private sector, strong private sector, and in particular the sector of SMEs, small and medium enterprises, is one of the key engines for the development of any country, including Georgia. Therefore, Czech development program also includes instruments to support the private sector. I can name, for instance, program B2B or Challenge Fund in partnership with UNDP that brings to Georgia Czech innovative solutions. And I would like to mention just one example, a success story, which is an establishment of a local innovation system around Rustavy business hub, which is a success story, I think. So there's another option, especially for startups and small enterprises, especially in rural areas, how to reach the Czech funds. And this is through the grant scheme provided by local action groups. So please don't miss the chance and follow us and try to join to get a grant.
Okay, so Czech Republic is just to start implementation European Union funded projects in social code and also food safety in Georgia. And for that, Czech Development Agency is going to open its office in Georgia. So how long-term is this plan? And also after implementing these projects, what will Czech Development Agency's office will do in Georgia?
We are very happy that the Czech Development Office has been opened recently at the premises of the Czech Embassy in Tbilisi, and that was opened in order to better implement both EU-funded projects. As you mentioned at the beginning, rightly, we started to implement EU-funded project on social code, and the other one is on food safety. We believe that expected results can be achieved only by a constant presence of the project management team here in Tbilisi. The trust that was given by EU to the Czech Development Agency, which is, by the way, for the first time in the history in Georgia, is very important, and I'm sure that the agency will confirm its position of a strong partner and therefore open the door for further cooperation in the future with EU. And I also think that the office will be able to cover in the future not only these multilateral projects but also bilateral projects that are for the time being covered by the office in Prague, of course with substantial help of the embassy.
Let's sum up this interview and talk about little bit about your plans for the 2022 as we are approaching to the new year. So what are your main plans and goals for the next year?
Well, the list of plans is very long, so I will not name all of the plans in the future.
But the main one.
But the main one, I have mentioned at the beginning of the interview that we are closing up several of the large-scale, complex intervention, especially in the sector of social inclusion by the end of this year. But it doesn't mean that we will phase up from this sector. On the contrary, we will stay a very important, hopefully important, international partner, definitely reliable international partner, to assist local authorities in other interventions and projects. For instance, the introduction of electronic management systems into primary health care services, which is, by the way, something that some of the EU countries still don't have, and this is a very advanced system. Or together with local partners, we are coming to a final stage of very complex and important reform of deinstitutionalization. This is a process of closing up of big institutional changes, yes. Meaning we will close up big institutions for people with disabilities and offer them better and more suitable premises and services that will provide more decent and better quality life conditions for them. Well, this is again a social inclusion sector, but I would like to mention one complex and comprehensive project also in the area, in the sector of rural development and agriculture. Actually, we are in the middle of implementation of a 5-year program, because it's a complex program of several projects that is jointly funded by Czech Republic and Austria. And of course, apart from these complex large-scale projects, we will continue to support Georgia by providing small grant support to projects, as I mentioned, for instance, independent media. We also will continue supporting scholarship programs because we offer every year around 25 scholarship posts for Georgian students to study in the Czech universities. And also we will support also the partnership between the universities of the two countries. So, as I said, the list of the planned activities for the upcoming year is very long, but I'm really truly looking forward to the cooperation with local partners, and I really wish and hope for a successful achievement of the goals. Well, these goals is always, or achievements are always a result of a hard work of many stakeholders and good cooperation built on a trust, mutual trust and partnership. So I wish Georgia and to all of us good luck in the upcoming year and Happy New Year.
Good luck, you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I think it's high time already to see what the week in terms of business looked like for the checkpoints.
Over 500,000 fir trees are sold annually in Germany. Zhena Babunashvili, Project Planning and Development Manager at Fir Trees Foundation, told BMG. Zhena Babunashvili explains that 90% out of 45 million fir trees on the market are from Russia region. She notes that price of one fir tree ranges within 35–40 euros. McDonald's Georgia plans to open 3 branches in 2022. Tengiz Kapanadze, General Director of the company, told BMG. According to him, new branches will be opened in Isani, Rustavi Highway and Tbilisi Airport. The investment amount totals to 21 million $. McDonald's Georgia currently operates 16 branches throughout the country. A floating hot chalet on the Lake Shaori in Russia is closing down temporarily. The floating hut will resume operating from spring, as company's founder Vakhtang Giashvili says the climatic conditions are among the reasons. Floating hut, launched with an investment of $40,000 in 2022, attracted the attention of foreign and local tourists in its first year. According to Vakhtang Giashvili, it worked with full capacity during the summer months. Since May, the cottage has received a total of 220 guests, of which about 70% via foreigners and 30% via local tourists. It should be noted that the price for 2 persons per night totals to $400. Tea producing company Chirina expands and adds tea for toddlers from 2022. As Salome Miminoshvili, co-founder of the company, told BMG, the company will invest $100,000 in the expansion. Toddlers tea will combine berry, blueberry and seasonal fruit flavored tea will be made from Georgian bio raw materials. We will use Georgian tea in the production for the first time because we make all 12 varieties with Asian raw materials, explains Salome Miminoshvili. Georgian company Chirina was founded in 2020 by Georgian and Singaporean partners. The company offers customers 12 types of tea made from the highest quality Asian raw materials, including both herbal and popular Asian teas. Chirina products are sold in the company's online store. Company Sisauri Coffee declares that the company has increased product price by 30% due to the sharp growth of raw materials on the international market from 2021. As Timur Sisauri told BMG, the growth amounted to 80% on the international market. The company managed to keep profitability at the expense of price increase. Sisauri Coffee is operating on the market since 2016. The company imports raw coffee beans from several countries. Coffee Lab has 20% increase in the direction of coffee delivery, while the growth has made up 100% regarding the cafe bar. Georgi Ayvaziani, the founder of Coffee Lab, told BMG. According to him, the company has to increase prices slightly due to sharp growth of raw materials on the international market, but the company still managed to operate successfully. At the same time, the founder of the company declares that the delayed tourism and COVID regulations were the main problems for Coffee Lab, due to which the cafe was not able to host as many customers as before. Coffee Lab operates in 3 directions. These include coffee shop, coffee grain supply to the companies, and import of coffee machines. Georgian tea-producing company Mana will arrange new spaces near the enterprise in Saguramo. As Ekaterina Jagodnishvili, marketing and public relations manager of Mana, told BMG, it will be an eco-friendly building with a tea museum, a tourism area and restaurant will be arranged. According to her, tourists often go to the manufacturing taste tea because of the high interest. The company decided to arrange this space. At the moment, active works are underway on the site and construction of a certain part will be completed by 2022. As for the volume of investment, according to Ekaterina Jakotnishvili, at this stage they are negotiating with partners. Therefore, it's difficult to name the exact numbers. Georgian national dessert producing company Pelamushito opened a new branch on Aghmashanabeli Avenue. As Nina Gogoladze, the founder of Pelamushito, told BMG, the product will be manufactured on the spot and the facility will offer customers delivery services as well. The company Pelamushito, which employs a total of 13 people, will open more branches throughout Tbilisi in the near future and plans to develop in the regions as well. Expensive raw materials will be the main challenge for Meama in 2022. General Director of Meama, Luka Kapanadze, told BMG. According to him, all products price got expensive on the international market. Company imports raw materials from about 18 countries. Despite this fact, Meama does not consider the price increase for coffee and will try to offset with increased production. Company Meama increased the number of employees from 60 to 400 in 2021 despite the pandemic. In addition, the company opened new branches in Batumi and Kutaisi.
Logical questions to ask after this brief overview of the Checkpoints Business Week is what's made in Georgia, don't you think?
Yes, moreover, we will be talking about the peanut butter that is produced in Georgia. While studying in the US, still in my early teens, peanut butter jelly sandwich was my first different type of sandwich. This was quite a long time ago when Georgia wasn't this open to the rest of the world.
Well, snacky seems to be for you, Elena.
Yeah, definitely.
Georgia's peanut butter producers have ton of butter to sell monthly. First, it was only possible to buy it online, but it's already been a month since Snacky offers its first specialized store. Here's what's made in Georgia.
The idea came to me when I was exercising. I often consumed peanut butter. Only available products were imported and were constantly in short supply. Then we started looking for alternatives with friends, and it turned out that it was not on the market at all. Then we made peanut butter at home, and it turned out to be much tastier than other alternatives. The advantage of our peanut butter with other alternatives is that they do not contain any additives, and each time they are made a few days before delivery to the customer. They are new each time, and the consistency itself is different as it does not contain the preservatives or any additives. About a year has passed since we started production, and if there was a previous demand for it in gyms, now we have made our store where we have direct contact with customers without any mediators. About a month ago, we opened a peanut butter shop producing about 1 ton a month. We only had packages of 1 kilogram, but as we opened the store, we added packages of 300 grams. The demand for small packages is much greater. The cost of a small package is 15 lari, while the cost of a kilo package is 39 lari. We're testing the possibility of placing them in stores to see how much will be in demand. As for exports, we do not plan it at this time because it requires a completely different operating model and is different than operating in the local market, but we do not rule out the possibility of exporting in our long-term plan.
Before we say goodbye for now, we will offer you an exclusive interview with Ruben Vardanian that the editor-in-chief of Forbes Georgia and our reporter Georgi Sakadze recorded for the Checkpoints. Ruben Vardanian ranks on Forbes Billionaires list 2021. As Forbes reports, known as the father of the Russian stock market, Ruben Vardanian co-founded investment company Troika Dialogue in the early 1990s.
Yes, Elena, and in 2013, Vardanian and his manager sold Troika dialogue to a state-owned Sberbank for $1.4 billion. Vardanian founded investment boutique Vardanian Broitman and Partners, which serves ultra-high net worth individuals in 2014.
Exactly, David. So now Forbes Georgia and the Checkpoints will also have this interview in their archives.
You still remain by the Forbes as 116 in the list, at the same time pointed at a billionaire venture philanthropist, but you are speaking last month quite actively, and I missed this opportunity. And thank you again for the fact that we can talk about that you are speaking loudly about the kind of Armenia that should be built. I cannot say that you were not talking about it before. At least I followed some quotes coming personally from you, but you became like more active in this regard, revealed at the same time this phenomena by the public opinion polls, and at the same time, let me quote once again, a readiness to be both a janitor and the leader of the country, let me say so.
You made slight translation.
I did.
was more.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it like as much as I can. Please, what kind of situation do we have so far right now, while you are pointing such activities on your behalf?
First of all, I will start from the very important point, saying I've been actively involved of the building of future of Armenia last 20 years. It's not just nice sentence I can prove by the project that I've been doing in Armenia and doing all these years, and the way how it was organized. It was not like emotional charity activity. It was done by strategic vision about what needs to be done in Armenia. Many people ask me, why is Tatev Monastery, for example, or Dilijan school? Is because your parents from Dilijan or your wife from Tatev? I said no, because it's strategically these places was chosen by our consultant company who describe how we see the future of Armenia development. That's why, first of all, I want to say the last 20 years I've been doing with clear purpose how I see and how we see, not myself only, but with the hundreds of partners and people who support us, see future of Armenia around building around education, about excellent best standards and many, many other things.
But you confirm, sorry for interruptions, that you are not doing business in Armenia last 20 years. Am I right?
Except I've been investing in the best bank in Armenia, Ameria Bank, which was we started in 2007, and then the bank became now #1 bank in Armenia. It's true. It's not, but always including this bank, the project which we've been doing also commercial. For example, we had a small tourist agency, or we had a best real estate building. We built it where is Ameria Bank now located as a headquarter. It's all been done on the purpose of developing the Armenia. That's why whatever money was made stay in Armenia and was made for making Armenia more prosper.
You still remain as a shareholder of that bank, Mr. Vardanev?
Yes, I have a minority. I'm not anymore the controlling shareholder, but yes, I'm continuing shareholder of the bank. But I'm out of the board. A bank operator, fully independent. We got international IFIs like shareholders, and the management operate and control the bank fully.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting you. You'll be talking about your projects.
The first point I made. The second point I want to say, of course, Artsakh. What's happened last year around Artsakh, the war, and the results of the war was heavy, hurt all of us and people who've been living in Armenia, people not living in Armenia at the time. And it was a critical moment for myself also. And I said in my interview, for me, it was very critical for many reasons. But I found myself that I need to make a choice to be more active or stay out of what's happening in Armenia at all. And this is the second reason why maybe I become more vocally present to the current public area. The third, I'll say, it was also very important because of the post-war trauma. The crisis that we are facing is not only linked to the war around Karabakh, but overall existential challenge about the future of Armenian nation. Not only who be living in Armenia, but also the people who live in different countries. And I believe this crisis is much more important, much more serious compared to many other things that happened with us during the last years. Because not only political crisis, not only the crisis around the war, which we lost during last year, but more about what kind of the future we see like nation and how we see ourselves building the state in Caucasus, how we see ourselves keeping our culture and historical heritage in different places around the world, and many other things. So I become more vocal, and it is done by understanding what this is the time what you need to make your decision. Are you in or you not? About caring about your nation, caring about next generations, Armenians who will grow up and will want to see their future linked to Armenia or not.
And you're in, or you always been in?
I always been in, but maybe what changed, I've been more proactive also talking not about the future of Armenia, because we've been doing Armenia 2020 projects 20 years ago. We are starting Armenia 2041 project now. It was unfortunately symbolic, just exactly this horrible events happened in 2020, the year of the finalizing our first period of vision of Armenia and how Armenia where to go, how Armenia where is Armenia going, and how it's developing. And it was unfortunately the time of the serious analysis of why we did something, what happened, I say differently, how it's always happened, what was done wrong, and why we achieved what we achieved. It was very important for me to understand that you cannot just look forward for 20 years, which is I believe is very important, and I continue to believe it's very critical to be long-term oriented. At the same time, also I realize now, because of the current situation, it will be critical to talk and to think about how you can improve some of these situations now, not in 10, 20 years time.
At the same time, you're pointing that due to the local polls and surveys, what your team is doing permanently in Armenia, I'm taking and quoting you for one of your last interviews done with Russia Business Consulting, and you're pointing three directions of the populations, how they think or feel or perform. At the same time, Ruben Vardanyan is pointing that it is not a classic way how he's going to be a part of Armenian politics. What do I mean by this? I'm talking about formalities like political party, some legal entities and things like that. You are more talking about some sort of movement to some sort of new ideology, those who really needs drive, who wants to speed up with economic recovery and things like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right, George. I think you took the right points. I'm convinced what we needed is nation leaders who will come together. It cannot be many of us, but it needs to be at least dozens of the people who will come from different professions, but people who nation trust, people who really feeling responsible for the future of not only their own life and their own families, but also for the nation. People who will come together and define the strategy, not only talking about Armenia, but Armenian world in general, because we have a lot of issues and a lot of challenges which we need to find the right answers, which not only linked to what's happening in Armenia, but is also what's happening around the world. That's why I believe we are in a stage of our development where we need to find the platform where people can come together, talk frank and open about the diagnosis which we need to put honest and transparent for ourselves without building any illusions and dreams, and try to find the medicine how we can improve the situation with the understanding of reality. And this is the critical for people who not only living in Armenia, but also not only people who live in Armenia, but also people who live in other part of the world. And it was for me, it was very important also to say this is not only question about how you manage the country, but also how we manage the nation, which includes not only government institutions, but also public institutes. It includes the formal rules, but also informal rules, because we all know, like you've been in Georgia, it's you have a legislation, but also you have informal traditions, informal rules, which people can follow or don't follow, depends on the changes happening around us. This is why I believe we are in a stage where we need to think seriously about not only how we're managing country, how the country is will be built by state institution, but also how in general society can become unified and collaborative to each other to build future of Armenia like state and country, but also Armenian nation, which is much more complicated, much more difficult.
Well, that's all for today. We will be seeing you next Sunday at 10 p.m. from the studio.
Indeed, but before that, please do follow us on bm.g and forbes.g for more updates on business and economics. Till Sunday.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.